not only were you a star football player, but you were a lifeguard. I mean, you really, and you were the only white guy who was lifeguarding in this black community, right?
Yeah,
I mean, you were the one guy.
I was.
Your family is pretty, again, this goes to my point about, the president is the father of our country. That's something we all say. And I think your family is so extraordinary because of the way they've...
I know a lot of people, and I come across a lot of information, and I don't always release the information that I have when I receive it. Sometimes I sit on information and I just wait, right? Because it's not always the best time or the right time to release the information. And in the aftermath of, and also the days leading up to the stolen election of 2020, Tucker Carlson had a meeting with a friend of mine, okay? His executive producer had a meeting with a friend of mine who arranged a meeting at the Hilton Garden Inn on Long Island. And he brought him a USB drive that had the contents of the Hunter Biden laptop, like the actual Hunter Biden laptop, right? Because there's some controversy out there about which version is legitimate and if there's any versions that have been altered or any documents that have been manipulated. This was carbon copy of Hunter Biden's laptop with an encrypted code to access the USB drive. And Tucker Carlson's producer, we could just go through this entire thread and you can see for yourself. But essentially, I am just so sick and tired of people giving Tucker Carlson a pass because they think that he's some kind of a pro-Trump guy or some kind of, hero, and that, he was fired. He was fired from Fox News for talking about election fraud. Tucker Carlson is one of the individuals who helped facilitate the election fraud by suppressing the Hunter Biden laptop story, okay? And he willingly and deliberately chose to suppress the Hunter Biden laptop story in 2020 to preserve his friendship with his good old buddy and former neighbor, Hunter Biden, and his relationship with the Biden family. So,
yes, Laura Loomer is right. Tucker Carlson was fired from his old job at Fox News, but he still works for them and helps facilitate. And you may not have seen this in the news. And the headline from the Hollywood Reporter reads, Fox makes major move into podcasts, buys Red Seat Ventures. Red Seat Ventures counts former Fox News stars Megyn Kelly and Tucker Carlson as clients, as well as Piers Morgan and Nancy Grace. Yes, folks, you heard that right. And it says, in a major podcast and digital media deal that shakes up the landscape, Fox Corp has acquired Red Seat Ventures. Red Seat Ventures produces audio and video podcasts and other programming with talent that includes a slew of former Fox and cable news stars. Among Red Seat's clients are Megyn Kelly, whose show streams on YouTube and runs on SiriusXM, and Tucker Carlson, who was ousted by Fox 2 years ago. Another former Fox host, Bill O'Reilly, is also a client, as is Dr. Phil. Former CNN host Piers Morgan and former HLN host Nancy Grace are also clients of Red Seat. So don't be fooled into thinking for just 1 second that these voices are independent or even on your side. Let me make it abundantly clear. It's all about the money. It always has been and always will be. The money is green, it may become gold or even digital and funneled through a blockchain and offered as a stable coin or some other form of cryptocurrency, but the fact of the matter will remain. And they will say and do anything to get it and try to keep it and hold on to it. But the easiest way to tell when they're about to lose it is when they go back to the drawing board and begin to sow divide and distract by throwing race into the script as regular talking points.
And so I want people to see him and understand who he is. This is a person that has a problem with people of color, period. I don't care how many black MAGA out there with their hats. I want to be clear, when we look at who it is that he's kicking out of this country as people of color, when we look at who he always disrespects and says that they are low IQ, even though when you look at his cabinet, this has to be the most incompetent cabinet we have ever had in the history of this country. When we're talking about people that literally have the ability to drop bombs or order that bombs be dropped or make recommendations that bombs be dropped, and they literally don't know how to get the signal chat right. So we're talking about low IQ individuals, but so long as they say that this guy is their guy, and usually if they work for a certain news network, that's the only qualification that's necessary. I've got news for the president. I am not going anywhere. No matter how many squiggly lines they draw in the state of Texas, I will be back and I will be on his behind and making sure the real accountability that the American people are demanding, whether they're Democrats, Republicans, or independents, that it is had when the Democrats take control of this House in the midterms.
Congressman.
Have you ever heard the phrase, a broken clock is right twice a day? Well, take a look at your screen and behold, broken clock. And yes, you can hear it in her voice. Jasmine is worried that not only will she be kicked out of Congress, but she may also be arrested by the FBI and face felony criminal charges for the stunt she and other Democrats pulled the other day in breaking quorum.
The governor of Texas is not only threatening to arrest the more than 50 Democratic lawmakers who have left Austin, he has ordered the Texas Rangers to investigate whether they got illegal financial support when they left the state. State Attorney General Ken Paxton echoed the governor's threat and said Democrats should, quote, be swiftly arrested, punished, and face the full force of the law. But the Democrats are standing firm, saying leaving the state was the only way to stop Republicans from changing Texas's congressional districts to favor Republicans. Each of the Democrats face a $500 fine for every day they miss of the special session. And Abbott wants to know how they paid for their travel out of state.
It would be bribery if any lawmaker took money to perform or to refuse to perform an act in the legislature.
The Democrats left Texas to prevent Republicans from going forward with a vote to approve the new congressional maps.
Members, a quorum is not present.
Republicans need about a dozen Democrats to come back to make quorum and to move forward with a vote on their plan.
Come back and fulfill your duty, because this House will not sit quietly while you obstruct the work of the people.
Republicans voted to issue civil arrest warrants to bring the Democrats back to the Capitol, but those warrants have no power out of state. Already, the House Sergeant-at-Arms is going door to door, taking note of which Democrats weren't at the Capitol on Monday. The fight in Texas is setting off a national battle over redistricting, with the Democratic governors of California and New York threatening to do what Republicans are doing in Texas.
Fighting, yes, fire with fire.
They're leaving us no choice. We must do the same.
Okay, let's get right to the escalating fight over Republican-led redistricting efforts in Texas. Governor Greg Abbott filed an emergency petition yesterday with the Texas Supreme Court to remove State Representative Jean Wu, who is also the Texas House Democratic Caucus chair. The lawsuit claims Wu violated the state constitution and that his absence amounts to abandoning his office. Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton says he will try to expel several House Democrats if they do not return to Austin by Friday. But the AG has already acknowledged that would be a lengthy process, requiring him to bring individual lawsuits in each member's district. Meanwhile, Senator John Cornyn of Texas, who will face Paxton in the Republican primary next year, has asked FBI Director Kash Patel to help Texas law enforcement locate or arrest the Democrats who have left the state. Senator Cornyn and Governor Abbott have both accused the lawmakers of accepting bribes to fund their trips out of Texas. So President Trump was asked yesterday about Senator Cornyn's request, and here's what he had to say.
Do you want the federal government and the FBI to help locate and arrest these Texas Democrats who have left the state?
Well, I think they've abandoned the state. Nobody's seen anything like it, even though they've done it twice before. And in a certain way, it almost looks like they've abandoned the state. It looks very bad. Yeah, go ahead, please.
Should the FBI get involved? Should the FBI get involved?
Well, they may have to. They may have to. No, I know they want him back. Not only the attorney general, the governor wants him back. If you look, I mean, the governor of Texas is demanding they come back. So a lot of people are demanding they come back. You can't just sit it out. You have to go back. You have to fight it out. That's what elections are all about.
The guest sitting at CNN's desk even throws out wild accusations of a certain media network or news channel being the only qualification necessary.
And usually if they work for a certain news network, that's the only qualification that's necessary.
Just for fun here, Jasmine, what qualifications were necessary for you to get your job?
When I first became a public defender, I had no criminal defense experience. And I walked in and I told my boss, Charlie, I said, listen, you should hire me. He said, why? I said, because I'm black. Charlie looked at me like I was crazy. Charlie offered me my job.
The only person who seems to have a problem with people of color is you, Jasmine. But she just sounds so unintelligent. Nevertheless, she doesn't want to quit. She doesn't want to give up the fight. But don't get it twisted. This isn't a fight for anyone but herself and her money. That paycheck, cash grab, and unbelievable opportunity of somehow becoming a career politician and a multimillionaire in the process while earning a relatively modest government salary. Her ignorance is almost unmatched. But another brown-skinned political racial divider can't go without some form of notable mention here.
She recently interviewed Charlemagne the God, but he did not say what President Trump wanted to hear on her show and felt that he was disrespectful to America and also to Lara Trump. Let's go ahead and watch that together because it's pretty fascinating the way that he goes after her. Let me play that now.
No, you've been critical. You've had your bones to pick with President Trump. If you took his name out of it and looked solely at what has happened, the policies and the things that have changed around the world and in our country over the first 6 months, how do you rate his presidency so far?
I wouldn't give it a good rating,
Why not?
Simply because, the least of us are still being impacted the worst. Like when you look at something like, the big, beautiful bill, that's something that, I'm going to benefit from because of the tax bracket that I'm in. But, there's going to be so many people that's hurt by that bill. And, anything that, takes away Medicaid from people and is going to put people in a worse financial situation than, they were previously in. I'm not for. And, he ran on that. Like he ran on, the economy. He ran on saying that, grocery prices are going to be down and,
That has happened.
No.
Inflation is trending down. And by the way, Medicaid, we want to make sure that people who are not actual recipients or shouldn't be getting Medicaid are off of Medicaid so it can actually benefit more people. There is good stuff in that bill, though. You have the 2017 tax cuts that are made permanent, and that really is for everybody. But that's for everyone. Everyone in this country is impacted by that. You also have things, by the way, like money going to school choice for parents all across this country. Mm-hmm. There is a lot of good that I think will come out of the big, beautiful bill. But what about things like
right now people are hurting. And he campaigned on immediate change, day one change.
And you don't think you felt any change? People aren't feeling change.
No.
All right. Now that's obviously his opinion. The biggest beneficiaries of the big, beautiful bill, permanent Trump tax cuts, are the middle class.
Yes, that is his opinion. But how many of you want to comment and tell me who, or better yet, what is influencing his opinion? This clown, who somehow is allowed to refer to himself as the God, has made his money off the backs of stupid black people that continue to buy into the lies and confirmation bias that he provides. And odds are, he knows if he were to actually reverse course, break down and, number one, do some damn homework and research other than reading and consuming and ingesting the fake news media headlines and propaganda at face value. And number two, just tell the frickin' truth. Well, his viewership would disappear, and so would all his money. Don't worry, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not rich. I'm not a paid shill for hire mouthpiece of the left, and I will not bend my knee to throw my president under the bus and harm whoever watches or listens to my content in the process. Blinded. Charlemagne is blinded. That's the only way you can be so dumb and so stupid, and on national TV at that. All fueled by some form of racist, skin tone persuaded hatred and a paycheck. Anyone, any liberal Democrat who believes what he says or thinks how he thinks is never going to see change because they don't want to. Plain and simple. But in due time, their day will come, and we're seeing it happen in real time because less and less people are buying what it is that they are trying to sell.
Conducted themselves and how they are with you, that I feel you have a lot to give to the presidency. These are my feelings. It's pretty amazing family. And I'm proud of it. I submit for your approval that when you have a loving family like that, you got a lot to give because you get so much from them. You're the kind of leader I love because we're lucky to have you in the Oval Office and serving as the father of the country. Because if you're a good father to your family, which you are, I know you'd be a good father to the country. And I want to thank you for providing a calming influence, an organized administration post-COVID, getting that vaccine out, getting NATO.
How many of you think Joe Biden is a good father to his family? And I've heard people say the worst part about Fox News interviews with Sean Hannity is he does all the talking. But my word, do you see the game that's being played here? Biden sits there like a Weekend at Bernie's extra, and Howard Stern does all the talking and pushes a false narratives and propaganda for his listeners to consume as their daily dose of brainwashing. This is unbelievable. But it's marketing nonetheless. And in order for Howard Stern and others like him to make their ridiculous salaries, they have to say what the people want to hear. Those people are in the audience, but the real people, he, Charlemagne, Jasmine, and others have to please are the ones at the top who are cutting the checks. And if you won't say what they want or you've become less effective, then they will consider you disposable, deem you useless, and then cast you aside, toss you in a dumpster, and move on to the next puppet to be their mouthpiece.
Getting us to feel comfortable, standing up to Putin. I don't know what people are looking for in a president, or maybe it's that people don't feel like they're getting enough or something. I don't know what it is, but I'll give you your greatest hits. The lowest uninsured rate in history, 4 out of 5 Americans are covered for less than $10 a month. Knocking off a few ISIS leaders, cutting the emissions in half. I mean, you've always been an environmentalist. Even the marijuana reform laws, enough with sitting there and fighting that battle. Respect for Marriage Act. What the hell is with people with this gay stuff? Who cares if someone's gay? I mean, how is it affecting anybody? People in love, it's good, right? Love is good.
My dad, we saw 2 men kissing one another in Rodney Square when I was going in to get a license. And I looked at him and he said, Joey, it's simple. They love each other.
That's it. That's how I look at it.
That's one of the things that I think a lot of times boys need is not just exposure to one guy.
Mm-hmm. One dad.
No matter how good the dad
is. He can't be everything.
He can't be everything. And then that boy may need somebody to give the boy some perspective on the dad.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
One of the most valuable things I learned as a guy was I had a gay professor in college at a time when openly gay folks still weren't out of line, who became one of my favorite professors and was a great guy and would call me out when I started saying stuff that was ignorant. You need that to show empathy and kindness. And by the way, you need that person in your friend group so that if you then have a boy who's gay or non-binary or what have you, they have somebody that they can go, okay, I'm not alone in this.
Pandering. Pandering. That's all he's doing is pandering. But how much do you want to bet that even Biden couldn't rifle off all those listed talking points of greatest hits or accomplishments, which is why they put Howard Stern up to it. Last year, Howard Stern said he hated anyone who voted for Donald Trump and demanded they stop listening to his radio show. Yesterday, it was announced that SiriusXM has canceled the Howard Stern show after his ratings plummeted. Well, you know what they say, play stupid games, win stupid prizes. And he effed around and found out. It doesn't matter how many times you try and tell us Trump is the bad guy, or Trump doesn't like people of color, or that Trump is a racist, or Trump is a rapist, or Trump is this, or Trump is that, pedophile, convicted felon, liar, cheater, on and on and on, yada, yada, yada. It doesn't work. We know the truth, and nobody can ever change how we think and how we feel. And the evidence shows their old ways, their attempts and strategies are weak, tired, and failed. The Howard Stern show is getting canceled after 20 years on the radio. SiriusXM reportedly has grown tired of his $100 million a year salary. And I quote, per The Sun, it is no longer worth the investment. Howard Stern's show axed, and he's just another left-wing propagandist who bites the dust in Trump's second term. First, Stephen Colbert, now Howard Stern. These mainstream media elites are out. And so are Democrat unelected nominee candidates for president. Kamala Harris said the system was broken, but what she meant to say was President Trump broke her. So instead, she decided to write a book. And why? Well, it's because she needs the money. And remember, no matter what they say, that's what it's always about.